Chapter 1. I leaned against the doorframe, watching my fiancée, Su Chingha, in her wedding dress, lying in bed with her first love. Tomorrow was our wedding day. I gave a bitter smile, my eyes cold. This is our wedding suite. The wedding is tomorrow. What do you think you're doing? Su Chingha looked indifferent, treating me as if I were nothing. I know it's the wedding. So what? Who do you think you are? You're just a dog my family raised. Let me tell you, the wedding is still on tomorrow. I shook my head and turned to leave. After closing the door, I could still hear her mocking laughter, calling me useless. Then, indescribable sounds continued from within the room. For 10 years, I had worked for her family's company, gradually rising to a senior management position. Su Chingha thought she had me under her thumb. But she probably didn't know that her father had long lost control of the company, abandoning all the mess and running away. And I was her family's final blow. As long as I wanted, she would no longer be the glamorous young lady tomorrow, but a stray dog on the street. And I was waiting for someone. I beckoned my assistant over. Inform all relatives and friends that the wedding is cancelled. Also, tell everyone, things are about to change. The partners and shareholders who received my message acted quickly. I had just walked downstairs when I saw Su Chingha's driver already waiting. He bowed to me, and seeing my nod, quickly got into the Maybach and sped away. This car was a company asset, Su Chingha's favorite when the Su family was powerful, but now she wouldn't be using it anymore. Let her have her last hurrah. When dawn broke, she would only be able to take the bus and subway, probably not even willing to take a taxi. Even this large apartment was company property, purchased specifically for the wedding. Dirty. It needed to be dealt with. I sat in the car, watching my assistant direct the company's security guards rushing upstairs. Su Chingha didn't deserve to live in this apartment. Within minutes, Su Chingha was unceremoniously thrown out of the building by the security guards, her few belongings scattered around her. She shrieked in fury. "You bastards! What do you think you're doing? I'll fire you all. You're all dogs raised by the Su family." The Su family. The Su family was nothing now, and she was no longer a pampered young lady. Su Chingha saw me watching from the car, scrambled to her feet, and frantically pounded on my window, her face contorted with rage. "Lu Yunza, you bastard! Do you not know whose food you eat? Just you wait. I'll call my dad, and I'll make you a pauper again." I just smiled and said nothing. This woman still hadn't realized that it was she, and her first love, who would become paupers. The equally disheveled man standing beside Su Chingha also snarled angrily. "Lu Yunza, Chingha was just joking with you. Do you have to be so petty? The wedding is tomorrow. What are you trying to do by making such a scene? Don't forget, this is Chingha's home. Everything you have now was given to you by her father." I glanced at him briefly but didn't speak. I knew this man. He was Su Chingha's first love, Gu Shiran. Su Chingha had always loved Gu Shiran. Even when Gu Shiran was about to go abroad, when they were about to separate, Su Chingha offered herself to him as a gift. He took her virginity. It was that night of passion that resulted in her pregnancy. When her father found out, he forced her to have an abortion. She cried all night, saying she had wronged Gu Shiran. I had once given everything for Su Chingha, for the Su Corporation. Now, I only wanted this vast fortune. No longer looking at the two pathetic creatures, I closed my eyes and said, "Drive." On the road, Su Chingha's calls came one after another. I ignored them all. Then came a barrage of voice messages. Her hysterical voice shrieked, "Lu Yunza, you're dead. I'm going to call a shareholders' meeting. I'm going to clean house for the Su family. Get out of the Su family." Chapter 2. Kicked out of the Su family? I sneered. For 10 years, everyone thought the Su family nurtured me, gave me a platform beyond the reach of others. But they didn't know, the Su family's business wasn't so glamorous. Behind the scenes, they were smuggling with foreign forces. When things went south, the Su family coerced and induced my father to take the fall. To prevent him from recanting, I became the Su family's adopted son. From the day I entered the Su family, Su Chingha looked down on me. Even as a high school student, she looked at me with arrogance. Your dad sacrificed for the Su family, and you will too. You look decent enough, so follow me and be my dog." That day, Father Su laughed heartily, comforted me with a few words, saying Su Chinghe was spoiled and it was just childish talk, telling me not to take it to heart. From that day on, I could only live for the Su family and became Su Chinghe's dog. At school, she showed no regard for my face, bossing me around. Fetching water, doing homework, carrying her backpack, all became my tasks. If I showed even a slight resistance, she'd slap me across the face. "You eat our food, live in our house, don't you understand gratitude? You better obey me, otherwise, you know the consequences." From then on, I learned to hide myself. I put away my rebelliousness and replaced it with a subservient expression. No matter how Su Chinghe bullied me, I would appear like a sycophant, constantly expressing my loyalty. In the eyes of the Su family, I had been tamed, a qualified dog. After graduation, as arranged by Father Su, I joined the Su Corporation, still maintaining that loyal demeanor which led to my rapid rise. Behind the scenes, I eliminated countless enemies for the Su family, step by step, becoming one of Father Su's most trusted people and the company's CEO. To further bind me, Father Su even decided to have me marry into the Su family. The plan was beautiful, and I followed the script, building the Su Corporation into a behemoth, waiting for Su Chinghe's queen-like return. This young lady hadn't changed over the years, still as arrogant and domineering as ever. Perhaps because I'd been a sycophant for 10 years, she was relatively at ease with me. She spent her days eating, drinking, and having fun, occasionally listening to the company's operational situation. In her eyes, I was merely paving the way for her, so that when she was done playing, she could return to a queen-like life and continue to command me to serve her. Thanks to this young lady's love for fun, and Father Su's advancing age and declining energy, I was able to gain control of this vast fortune, which would have taken more time and opportunity otherwise. The next day, Su Chinghe stormed into the company, accompanied by the unsurprising Gu Shiran. She pushed open my office door and sat down on the sofa haughtily. "Lu Yunze, what are you trying to do? Why did you cancel the wedding?" I looked at her playfully, smiling as I spoke. "It seems the young lady isn't here to ask about that, is she?" She paused. Indeed, she never cared about the wedding, even showing disgust when Father Su decided to have me marry in. After a moment, she spoke. "Where's my dad? Why are all my cards frozen? And my driver, where did you send him?" I casually replied. "The chairman went abroad on business." "Didn't he tell you?" One sentence left Su Chinghe speechless. Because her father indeed wasn't in the country, but he wasn't on a business trip either. He was transferring assets. They, father and daughter, thought they were being seamless, but they didn't expect that I had transformed the entire company into an impenetrable fortress. Now, the chairman was probably lying in some compound in northern Myanmar, waiting for the opportunity to become spare parts and fly to all corners of the world. Su Chinghe looked at my smug expression with disdain. "I was planning to reveal everything at tomorrow's shareholder meeting, but seeing your face now makes me sick. I'm informing you, you're fired. You don't have to sit in this position pretending to be someone you're not. A dog should have the self-awareness of a dog." Finished, she took a document from her bag and tossed it lightly in front of me. I picked it up and looked. Good, it was an appointment letter. I read it aloud. "Mr. Gu Shiran is hereby appointed as Assistant CEO of Su Corporation. Upon Mr. Gu's graduation, he will immediately assume the position." Below was Father Su's signature, dated 3 months ago. This was preparing to discard me after using me. Back then, I started as an assistant CEO and climbed step by step to my current position. It seemed I still had a little residual value, as I hadn't handed over everything yet. Otherwise, there probably wouldn't be a 3-month buffer period for Gu Shiran. The Su family had always been selfish. Seeing me lost in thought, Su Chinghe thought I was scared and sneered. "Lu Yunze, I'm not afraid to tell you now, this position, at most 3 months, everything you have now belongs to Brother Shiran." Gu Shiran adjusted his suit, looking smug, but his words were hypocritical. "Mr. Lu, the company is currently undergoing transformation, and Chinghe wanted me to help. Don't worry, I won't threaten your position." I nodded and smiled at Gu Shiran. "Welcome, Assistant Gu." He nodded back at me, his smile a mix of hypocrisy and the mockery of a victor. I just smiled faintly. Assistant Gu, since you've joined the company, let's get to work. Make me a cup of coffee now. I want hand-ground coffee. Gu Shiran's smile froze. He didn't expect me to actually treat him like a junior assistant. Su Qinghe was also furious, her beautiful eyes wide with rage. Lu Yunze, who do you think you are, daring to make Brother Shiran make you coffee? I shifted to a more comfortable position and continued to watch them with amusement, my tone indifferent. Is there a problem with me asking my assistant to make coffee? Or does Miss Su also want a cup? No problem, Assistant Gu, make another one. Gu Shiran dropped the pretense and his mask completely, switching to a blunt tone. Lu Yunze, do you really think you're all that? I know you're upset, but so what? I understand you're angry with me, but this is Chairman Su's appointment. You're making things difficult for me. I won't argue with you. You'll be utterly humiliated at tomorrow's shareholders' meeting. I shrugged indifferently. Threats never bothered me. Is that so? I think it's best if an assistant does their job. The chairman appointed you as my assistant, not someone who disobeys my instructions. He was furious, but completely powerless. Everything I said was true. Su Qinghe stood up and swept everything off my desk, throwing it all to the floor. Ah, standing up for her little lover. As expected, Su Qinghe glared at me. Lu Yunze, do you really think Su Group belongs to you? Let me tell you, the only reason my father insisted you marry into our family was because he saw some potential in you, that your team was full of elites, and he wanted to win people over. Now that the company is on track, Shirangij will take over your team. The group doesn't need you anymore. I nodded. I'd known all this along. Su Qinghe continued to sneer. You're about to be kicked out. Do you know why the company had you sign a new contract a while back? No matter what Su Group has, none of it is yours. But don't worry, we'll give you 2N+1 compensation. We won't let you starve on the streets. I was too tired to listen anymore. I had to thank that agreement. According to the agreement, I was no longer the CEO. Great. Ignoring Su Qinghe, who was about to explode again, I stood up and straightened my clothes. If Miss Su has nothing else, I'll leave now. I have a meeting to attend. Gu Shiran, feeling his pride wounded, hissed at my back. Lu Yunze, I know you haven't accepted this yet. We'll see each other at the shareholders' meeting tomorrow. Don't worry, as long as you kneel and beg Qinghe for forgiveness, in 3 months, when I'm CEO, and you're my assistant, I won't let you starve. I ignored them and walked straight out of the office, softly asking my assistant behind me, are the preparations complete? I need this to be foolproof. My assistant replied respectfully in a low voice. Don't worry, Mr. Lu. After tomorrow, the Su family will be finished. Satisfied with the answer, I thought for a moment and gave a few more instructions. Have the driver take me out tomorrow morning. To pick someone up from prison. Make sure they're back before the shareholders' meeting. Chapter 4. At the prison gate, I leaned against the car, a cigarette lit, my mind racing with the events to come. Soon, the iron gate slowly opened, and my father walked out. He carried a single bag, no excess luggage, and walked straight towards me. My assistant, perceptive as ever, took the bag and got into the car, leaving time and space for the father and son who hadn't seen each other in 10 years. My father gently stroked the car, his voice laced with sarcasm. So, the Su family's adopted son is living well, huh? Nice car. 10 years, and you still remembered to pick me up. Considerate of you. Indeed, I hadn't visited him once in 10 years because I was ashamed to. Today was different. He would be pleased. I smiled faintly. Father, get in the car. I'll give you the answers you want. He didn't move, as stubborn as he was 10 years ago. I wouldn't dare. I'm dirty. I'm not worthy of sitting in CEO Su's luxury car. You, on the other hand, look quite the gentleman now. You deserve this car. It seems the Su family has treated you well. Considerate of them. I lowered my head, my expression hidden. Only a cold laugh could be heard. Treated me well. In high school, Su Qinghe humiliated me constantly, just to show off that she had me, this dog, trailing behind her. She made me kneel down and lick her feet. I refused, and she beat me up in front of everyone. CEO Su found out and just told her to be careful, not to play such jokes. I studied hard to get into a good university, to escape that hellhole. But just to keep me around to serve Su Qinghe, the Su family changed my university application to a third-rate school, forcing me to continue being their slave. The night Su Qinghe's father arranged for me to marry into the family, she was in a hotel room, catering to her true love. She got pregnant with that man's bastard. During her postpartum confinement, she ordered me around like a dog. I still haven't forgotten the stench of Su Qinghe's feet. That humiliation will end today. The sarcasm on my father's face gradually faded, replaced by a familiar yet unfamiliar heartache. He gently patted my back, just like when I was a child. Yes, enduring humiliation, just like a man of the Lu family. You've suffered these past years. We looked at each other, our eyes meeting. We both saw the flames of revenge and ambition burning within. My father had devoted decades of loyal service to the Su family, only to be ruthlessly discarded. My story was similar. Called an adopted son, I was treated worse than a servant. But starting today, no one would walk all over us. Today, I picked him up from prison specifically to witness the downfall of the Su family, to avenge the injustice my grandfather suffered for 10 years. When the Maybach arrived at the Su Corporation building, Su Qinghe and Gu Shiran were already waiting. They looked impatient. Seeing us get out of the car, Su Qinghe sneered. "Lu Yunze, it's a board meeting today. Why did you bring this dirty old man here?" My father wasn't angered by her sharp words. Instead, he put on a smile. "Miss Su, I was released from prison today. Zaire came to pick me up." Su Qinghe then gave him a disdainful glance, the first time she had looked at my father directly since we got out of the car. I wondered who it was. "It's Uncle Lu. Your son is truly outstanding. You've raised him well." We just smiled at her mockery, neither of us speaking. Su Qinghe still didn't understand, continuing to look down on us. "Lu Yunze, learn from your father. He's a proper slave. Freshly out of prison, he rushes to the Su Corporation to pledge his loyalty. Much more qualified than you." I remained silent, watching them indifferently. There was no need to argue with someone about to be out of the picture. Verbal victories weren't worth it. Su Qinghe, probably feeling bored, huffed and turned to enter the company building. My father and I exchanged glances and smiled. This girl is still too naive compared to her father. "Well done, son." I nodded and said softly, "Let's go, the board meeting is about to start." "You'll sit in today." Inside the meeting room, all the company shareholders were present. Only the chairman's seat at the center of the table remained empty. Su Qinghe, with her nose in the air, sat directly in the chairman's seat, her expression haughty. "Let's start the meeting. My father isn't here, so I'll take his place." I picked up the documents, scanned the room, and then spoke softly. "Today is the third quarter shareholders meeting. Miss Su wasn't present for the first 2 meetings, so I'll briefly summarize the situation." Su Qinghe, with a playful and cynical expression, completely disregarded my presence and sneered. "During the first quarter, I was abroad discussing collaborations with Shiran. During the second quarter, Shiran and I were discussing matters with my father." All the shareholders wore knowing smiles. They were aware of what she said and the underlying implications. No one who reached this position was a fool. Ignoring the strange atmosphere, I cleared my throat. In the first quarter, Su Group invested in 17 projects, secured government support, and generated a profit of approximately 700 million. In the second quarter, we signed another 15 projects. Combined with company reforms, we significantly reduced costs and achieved a profit of 900 million. Su Qinghe seemed satisfied with these figures. Although she usually enjoyed leisure, she wasn't entirely incompetent and would regularly review the reports. She waved her hand dismissively, interrupting me. "All right, I know all this. You don't need to take credit. My family has supported you for so many years. This is what you're supposed to do. Shiran could do what you've done even better. Don't bother struggling." Her words didn't cause much of a stir. Everyone maintained their false smiles. But Su Qinghe and Gu Shiran remained oblivious. Gu Shiran even chimed in, "Lu Yunze, you do have some abilities. This work is well done. When I take over your position, I'll take the entire group to the next level. Thank you for your contributions." I glanced at him. Yes, this favorable situation was entirely the result of my years of hard work. My father and I had dedicated everything to the Su group, but what about them? They merely treated us as pawns, as dogs that could be discarded at any time. Su Qinghe gazed tenderly at Gu Shiran, shamelessly displaying their affection, regardless of the setting. "Shiran, this is what he's supposed to do. The company is doing well now. When you take over, you'll definitely be better than him." Gu Shiran looked back at Su Qinghe with equal tenderness. "Naturally. Don't you trust my abilities? Besides, I love you for who you are. With or without the Su family, with or without the Su group, I will never leave you." Hearing this, I felt relieved. I cleared my throat and resumed my report, interrupting the lovebirds. It wasn't intentional, but if I didn't interrupt, things might get awkward if they started discussing more intimate matters. In the third quarter, the company suffered a total loss of 2,800,000,000. 90% of our partners have requested to terminate their contracts, and we face over 5 billion in compensation. Furthermore, the bank is demanding early loan repayment. Currently, the chairman is absent. Let's discuss the possibility of bankruptcy. Su Qinghe froze, the smile on her face stiffening. The transition from joy to shock, and then to terror, was truly spectacular. I sighed and looked at her with a grave expression. "Miss Su, it's fortunate you're here today. We now have someone to take charge. The chairman's embezzlement has been reported to the police, but he has already transferred all 100 billion in funds. That's manageable, but the chairman also owes millions in high-interest loans, totaling 20 million with interest. Those creditors are probably already outside the company. Thanks to Mr. Gu's earlier declaration, I'm sure you'll be fine." Chapter 6. Su Qinghe had lost her usual arrogance. Her face was pale, and she looked at me with agitation. "What did you do? Did you embezzle funds? Our Su group has always been profitable. Why are we suddenly going bankrupt?" Watching her breakdown, I curled my lips into a faint smile and said indifferently, "I've been managing the business according to the chairman's instructions. Unfortunately, my abilities are truly lacking." The chairman, with his foresight, timely handed the group over to Mr. Gu. "From now on, we'll have to rely on Mr. Gu to turn the tide." My words seemed to trigger something in Su Qinghe, as if she had grasped at a lifeline. "No, you're the CEO of Su Group. Gu Shiran is just the president's assistant. You did all this, didn't you? Let me tell you, those debts are yours. If you can't pay them back, you'll go to jail just like your good-for-nothing father." I waved my hand and took out a few documents, handing them to her. "Miss, are you perhaps suffering from a lapse in memory? Take a look at this document. You've already appointed Gu Shiran as the CEO." Su Qinghe was stunned. She had no recollection of signing such a document. I chuckled softly. Su Qinghe had always treated me like a dog and entrusted the company to me without a second thought, signing many documents without even looking at them. 3 months ago, I learned about Gu Shiran, and that's when I set this trap. Now, all the responsibility rests on Su Qinghe and Gu Shiran. But to me, this is all just business. In the first quarter, I worked tirelessly to secure contracts for Su Group. In the second quarter, I realized the Su family was accelerating their plans to discard me. So I played deaf and dumb, diligently expanding the company's business on one hand, while allowing Su's father to transfer assets on the other. Secretly, I made my own pre-established company the agent for Su Group, filtering all business through it. Su's father was busy transferring assets, and Su Qinghe was busy with Gu Shiran, so neither noticed. This also saved Su Group a considerable amount of cost, and Su's father, looking only at the financial statements, was quite pleased. After all, it was equivalent to using the shareholders' money to pave his own way. Although he had some doubts, he trusted his daughter too much. Unfortunately for him, Su Qinghe was completely love-struck and paid no attention to the company. I always chose the moments before her dates with Gu Shiran to give her documents to sign. She rarely looked at them, just signing directly. She had long lost control of the company. Sue's father transferred assets and recruited Gu Shiran into the company to undermine my position, paving the way for his daughter and incidentally sending me to jail. So, while I appeared to be working tirelessly for Su Group on the surface, I was frantically devouring its resources and assets behind the scenes. All that remained for Su Group was debt. Su Qinghe had signed all of these documents. There was no signature of mine. She couldn't deny it even if she wanted to. By the third quarter, Su's father thought he had completed the asset transfer, but under my manipulation, those assets had all gone into an overseas account opened in my father's name. This was all Su's father's debt, and now it was time to repay it. As for Su's father, it seems the assistants misunderstood my instructions. I was worried he wouldn't be able to handle the cold weather overseas, so I asked someone to send him blankets. Instead, he was sent to northern Myanmar. After 6 months of my frantic maneuvering, Su Group had legally and reasonably transferred all its assets to my company, triggering the fallout from Su's father's asset transfer. Now, not only did they owe 2.8 billion, but they also had to pay over 5 billion in penalties. They were drowning in debt. Logically, what I did couldn't be hidden from the other shareholders, but we were all in cahoots. There was no need to hide anything. Money gathers and disperses people. I was quite generous in sharing the profits. Having cooperated for so many years, all the shareholders knew the Su family's despicable and selfish nature. Seeing Su's father's methods of transferring assets further fueled their discontent, and many actively sought me out. You could say the new company was a replica of Su Group, just with me replacing the Su family as the major shareholder. Su Qinghe, now completely bewildered, could only look to Gu Shiran for help. Gu Shiran's eyes were bloodshot as he frantically reviewed the financial documents on the table, searching for a way out. He wasn't completely incompetent. Soon, he looked up. Qinghe, don't worry. The company is bankrupt. We just need to liquidate. As for the transferred assets, your father is abroad. They can't do anything. Those debts won't fall on you. Your personal assets are still safe. Also, given the current scale of the company, even after paying off those debts, you should still receive at least tens of millions. Su Qinghe, who had been lost, breathed a sigh of relief at Gu Shiran's words. I nodded, smiling brightly. Indeed, a company is coming to negotiate an acquisition today. Su Qinghe regained her usual arrogance and imperiously ordered me, You're useless. At least you handled this matter competently. Where are they? Go and greet them. I stood up and gestured for the assistant to rearrange the meeting room for negotiations. Once everything was done, I walked straight to the buyer's seat. I sat down and instructed someone to make fresh tea. Su Qinghe was stunned and yelled at me angrily, You useless thing, get down! If you displease them, I'll skin you alive. I looked at her with amusement. Hadn't this young lady figured it out yet? Now, we can discuss the acquisition. Chapter 7. Su Qinghe was momentarily stunned but quickly recovered with Gu Shiran's prompting. She glared at me, teeth gritted. So it was you, the traitor. I knew there had to be a reason for the company's sudden losses. You've gone and become someone else's lapdog. And today you dare to swagger in here as a representative of the acquiring party. A dog is a dog, destined to be a slave for life. After her tirade, Su Qinghe sat back down, sneering at me. What price did your new master offer? I smiled faintly. After all, I was more familiar with the company. The company's current assets are worth about 50 billion. After repaying the bank loan, there will be roughly 48 billion remaining. The chairman's absconding with the funds is his personal act and has nothing to do with the company itself. We've already reported it to the police. The company will not assume responsibility for his debts. The remaining issue is the penalty for breach of contract. These penalties were mainly caused by the chairman's personal transfer of assets. We will retain the right to pursue debt collection from Chairman Su and Miss Su. Gu Shiran, hearing this, became excited and said to Su Qinghe, Baby, there's still 48 billion left. Based on your shares, you'll get at least 10 billion. As for your father's debts, let them find him. Su Qinghe now understood. This had been their father-daughter plan all along. But she still looked at me haughtily. I understand. I agree to the acquisition plan. Let your master come and sign the agreement now. However, since you like being a dog, I'll show you what happens to dogs. I have an additional condition. Shrugging, I asked indifferently, What condition? She sneered at me, coldly spitting out, I want your new master to sign an additional contract, ensuring you'll never hold a position in this company. I paused, then honestly replied, Don't worry, I don't hold a position in the company anyway. I was telling the truth. I was only a major shareholder. The company's CEO was a hired professional. Su Qinghe, hearing this, became delighted, laughing boisterously. Lu Yunze, at least I still have money. What do you have left? I advise you to kneel and lick your master's feet, just like you did in high school. Maybe they'll reward you with a bowl of rice. That time in high school, I have to say, the foot-licking was pretty good. If you kneel down and lick them again now, maybe I'll even reward you with a few tens of thousands for food. I was long numb to such words and wasn't going to argue with someone on their way down. If you're done laughing, miss, we can proceed to the next step. She was domineering, foolishly so. I'm done laughing. You're the only entertainment I have left. Bring the contract. I'll sign it now, the 48 billion contract. Everyone remained motionless, looking meaningfully at Su Qinghe, creating a strange atmosphere. She became puzzled, a sense of foreboding rising in her heart. What's wrong? Look over the contract. I looked at her calmly, taking a sip of tea. Miss, I haven't finished. The acquiring party is indeed investing 48 billion, but they're also assuming 50 billion in penalty for breach of contract. The right to pursue debt collection belongs to the acquiring party. She froze. I continued, considering the difficulty my company would face in debt collection, for this acquisition, my company, on humanitarian grounds, is willing to invest 1 yuan. Su Qinghe was furious, slamming the table and yelling at me, Those debts have nothing to do with Su Group. Let them sue my father themselves. I won't agree to selling 48 billion in assets for nothing. Besides, there are plenty of people who want to buy Su Group. We don't need you. You can get out. Su Qinghe trembled with rage, standing up to leave. Gu Shiran, beside her, also looked at me with disdain. Lu Yunze, I see now. You're just taking advantage of Qinghe's lack of understanding. I'm telling you, no way. I'll repay the humiliation you've inflicted on Qinghe 100-fold. I'll have the legal team deal with those creditors. Those have nothing to do with Su Group. Finished, he put his arm around Su Qinghe's waist, glared at me again, and prepared to leave. My icy voice rang out behind them, Stop. This is a shareholders' meeting. Whether to sell or not is not decided by you, but by shareholder vote. Moreover, those debts state very clearly that if they are not repaid, not only Su Group, but even your personal assets, Miss Su, will be used to repay them. You signed it yourself. Have you forgotten? Su Qinghe knew she had been played. She sneered, Lu Yunze, well played. However, with such harsh conditions, do you think everyone will agree? Shrugging, I looked at the shareholders. Let's vote. Those in favor, please raise your hands. The shareholders raised their hands, the smiles on their faces mirroring my own enigmatic expression. Su Qinghe's face drained of color, and Gu Shiran was bewildered. They were both stunned by the scene before them. Major company matters require the approval of more than 2/3 of the shareholders and more than 2/3 of the shares held. But now, except for the Su family, everyone agreed, with the shares accounting for 70%. I smiled, staring at Su Qinghe. Passed. Signed the contract. Chapter 8. Are you all crazy? 48 billion worth of assets, and you're selling it for $1. Su Qinghe was nearly driven mad by today's events, her eyes bloodshot as she glared at the shareholders. She didn't understand, but the shareholders naturally agreed. They had a stake in the new company, and as long as the acquisition was successful, they wouldn't have to pay the penalty fees. It was all a scheme. By acquiring the Su Share Group, they were essentially making 48 billion and getting rid of the Su family leeches. This was all part of my revenge against the Su family. I'm just taking back what's rightfully mine. As for the transferred assets, Consider it compensation for my father." Su Qinghe couldn't help but curse the shareholders. "You backstabbing traitors! This vote doesn't count. My father is the largest shareholder. Without him here, this is wrong." Though she was foolish, Gu Shiran wasn't quite as stupid and understood the current situation. He was now covered in a cold sweat. I watched Su Qinghe indifferently. "Very well. Then please have Miss Su bring the chairman back. Naturally, the Su Shi Group won't have to go bankrupt then." "However, miss, are you sure the chairman can come back?" "In this current situation, everyone's vote is the best option, and the best for you, Mississippi." Only then did she remember that her father could never come back. "No, I can vote on his behalf. 1 month, I need 1 month. Hold another shareholder meeting in a month. I'll resolve this issue." All the shareholders sneered. One of them couldn't hold back and asked, "Miss, do you have a power of attorney?" "The old chairman has run off. If you have a power of attorney, that would be perfect. You can handle the debts yourself, and the Su Shi Group won't have to go bankrupt." Su Qinghe's face turned ashen. Not only did she not have a power of attorney, even if she did, she wouldn't dare to produce it now. In a daze, she signed her name. Nice. The company has changed hands. The Su Shi Group has become history. Just as Su Qinghe was about to leave in a daze, the conference room door was pushed open. Several burly men walked in. They had been waiting for a long time. These men were also creditors of the Su family. Su's father had borrowed high-interest loans using company shares, originally intending to frame me. At the time, to make it easier to kick me out of the company, Su's father chose private loans, paving the way for Gu Shiran. Unexpectedly, the appointment documents signed by Su Qinghe became Gu Shiran's death warrant. His cleverness ultimately became the last straw that broke Su Qinghe. "Miss, the company's debts have been paid. You don't have to worry about them. It's just that these bosses took pity on your father and lent him the money. You should still find a way to repay them. Everyone has it tough. It's only 20 million. My words were full of mockery. The burly men laughed heartily, their laughter filled with other meanings. "Don't worry, we've estimated that this little girl's assets aren't enough to repay the loan, but we have plenty of channels to make her pay it back. It's just that the delayed interest needs to be recalculated." I glanced at Su Qinghe and offered my regretful advice. "Miss, do you understand? These brothers are very capable. They can make you appear all over the world simultaneously." "Understand?" Su Qinghe's face turned pale. She naturally understood what I was saying. The Su family's rise to prosperity wasn't clean. She was very familiar with those shady dealings. Gu Shiran's face also grew increasingly ugly, even trembling. "Qinghe, don't panic. Let's pay these bosses back first. Once we contact your father, we can make a comeback." I beckoned, and my assistant thoughtfully brought over some documents and handed them over. "Miss Su, please take a look. These documents are your father's loan agreements. Everything is clearly stated on them. Also, with the documents you signed, you bear joint liability for those debts. Of course, only with your personal assets." Chapter 9. My father, sitting in the corner, watched this whole show with a suppressed smile playing on his lips. Su Qinghe dropped to her knees with a thud. Even if she were a fool, she now understood she had been thoroughly played. She crawled towards me, clutching my clothes, pleading. "Yunze, no, Mr. Liu, I was wrong before. There's nothing valuable left in the family now. I can't pay it back. Please, for the sake of the Su family raising you for 10 years, spare me." I gently lifted Su Qinghe's chin, smiling coldly. "Raised me for 10 years? Su Qinghe, wasn't I your dog for 10 years? How have you treated me all these years? Don't you know yourself?" She knew, of course, but now she had no other choice. "No, I'm your fiancé. I'm going to marry you, please help me, okay?" Hearing this, I became even more interested. "Fiancé, you say? If I remember correctly, just the day before yesterday you were wearing a wedding dress in the bridal suite discussing life with your dear Shiran. Do you think I would want you?" Gu Shiran also knew I wouldn't let them off the hook and said to Su Qinghe, "Qinghe, don't beg him. Pay off the debt first, Then we'll go abroad directly, find your father, and we'll make a comeback." I chuckled indifferently. Even now, Gu Shiran was still thinking about the Su family's money. Of course, he was aware of the asset transfer and was one of the orchestrators. I took a few documents and handed them to Su Qinghe. "Miss Su, please repay your debts yourself. A kind reminder, all of your father's bank accounts in the country have been frozen by the police. Also, can you contact your father now? Let me tell you, he's safe. You won't find him." Su Qinghe's face was filled with despair, and she slumped to the ground. The debt collectors frowned. "Miss Su, are you not going to repay the 20 million you owe us?" Su Qinghe opened her mouth, but no words came out. Gu Shiran no longer had the affectionate look from before. A couple is like birds in the same forest, each flying their own way in the face of disaster, and they weren't even married. He had taken advantage of the inattention and gradually edged towards the conference room door. Su Qinghe could only rely on him now, so how could she not notice? She got up and grabbed Gu Shiran's arm. "Shiran, where are you going? You said you would be with me forever." Gu Shiran flung her hand away violently. "Your debt has nothing to do with me, don't involve me. We're just friends. You should go to your fiancé about these matters." Hearing such heartless words, Su Qinghe lost all her strength and collapsed to the ground again. After all, she was my fiancé, I still had to help a little. "Gu Shiran, you can't escape, don't waste your energy." He stopped, looking at me disdainfully. "Lu Yunze, don't try to scare me. To put it bluntly, so what if I played with Su Qinghe? That has nothing to do with the debt. I haven't joined the Su group, and I'm not the one in debt, so it's none of your business." Chapter 10. I looked at that stupid yet still arrogant face, smiling as I explained. "I don't care about your business with Su Qinghe, nor do I mind. You can play around as you please. But those debts were signed with the endorsement of the CEO, bearing joint liability. At that time, you were already the CEO, and the company had paid you a salary. All of this is documented, and your signature is on it. Also, Su Qinghe was once my fiancée, after all, so I still have to help her out. She has the right to reclaim those gifts she gave you." Gu Shiran was already furious, but I ignored him and directly took out a list. "In the past few years, Su Qinghe gave you a sports car, which is probably worth about 3 million now. And this watch, it's also worth about 1 million. Forget about the clothes. Although they're haute couture, you've worn them, and I doubt even a dog would wear them again. Adding in the money she transferred to you, it must be worth a few million." Su Qinghe, who had been in despair, had a spark in her eyes. That spark was called hope. She tightly gripped Gu Shiran's hand, her face full of excitement. "Right, you can't leave. With those assets, I can pay off the debt. Return everything to me." Gu Shiran, however, showed his true colors and became furious. "You already gave those to me, they're mine. It's impossible to return them to you." Su Qinghe stood up and reached out to grab Gu Shiran's face, despair all over her face. "You're a scumbag. I loved you for so many years, gave you so much money, and now that I'm in trouble, this is how you treat me? You'd rather watch me die than return my things to me. I'll fight you to the death." The two, who were so loving just a moment ago, were now fighting like enemies. The conference room was incredibly lively now. Everyone was watching this farce, and no one stepped in to stop them. Gu Shiran's blows were truly vicious, a grown man using all his strength to hit Su Qinghe's face. But he was now Su Qinghe's only hope, so how could she let go? Even though she was almost beaten unconscious, she still held on tight. But Su Qinghe also realized that she was alone and couldn't turn the situation around, so she turned to the debt collectors with pleading eyes. "Brothers, help me. My assets aren't enough to repay the debt. You've seen the documents. He has joint liability, and besides, that money was originally mine. Mr. Lu's list clearly states that his assets are worth at least 9 million. I won't ask for much. I'll give you all of it to cover 8 million of the debt." Those people thought for a moment and actually helped Su Qinghe, dragging Gu Shiran aside. They knew the situation clearly. Su Qinghe couldn't repay the money. If they could recover some, they wouldn't want to use illegal means. Gu Shiran was practically driven mad. He couldn't move, so he could only spit at Su Chinghe, cursing. I played along with you for so many years. Wasn't it just for the money? Now you want it all back. How unlucky! Su Chinghe looked at him as if seeing him for the first time, laughing miserably. I'm the unlucky one. I gave you my virginity, got pregnant, and had an abortion for you, even begged my father to hand over the family business to you, and it turns out you're the most despicable one. This was a good show. Lovers one moment, enemies the next. Interesting. Chapter 11. Su Chinghe's debt was still unpaid. Su's father had transferred his assets so thoroughly that, even including the money given to Gu Shiran, there was still a 500,000 yuan shortfall. Gentlemen, the remaining debt depends on your methods. Miss Su, please go with these gentlemen. I made a gesture of invitation, which deeply stung Su Chinghe. She knew the consequences. The burly men picked her up without a word and headed straight for the door. Miss Su, if you work at our place for 8 or 10 years, you'll pay it off. Let's go. Su Chinghe broke down. She crawled to my feet, clinging to my leg, refusing to let go. Mr. Liu, please spare me. I really can't go with them. I'll die. I was wrong about everything before. Please calm down. As long as I can appease you, I'll do anything. Just treat me like a dog. Do whatever you want with me. For 10 years, I had worked at her family's company, gradually becoming a senior executive. Su Chinghe thought she had me under her thumb. Miss Su, do you remember that time you were drunk at school and insisted I be your dog, making me crawl around the classroom with your freshly removed stockings in my mouth? That incident made me the laughingstock of the university for 4 years. Her face was filled with fear as she cried and apologized. Mr. Liu, I'm sorry. If you're willing, I'll be your dog from now on. Please, let me go. I gently stroked her beautiful face and spoke softly. No matter what, the Su family did support me for 10 years. I still need to pay for all those years of room and board and tuition. 500,000. I'll pay it off. Consider it a repayment. How about that? And then, I'll send you abroad to find your father. Okay. Su Chinghe kowtowed repeatedly, thanking me. Soon, I sent Su Chinghe to northern Myanmar. Her fate, I imagine, was much the same as her father's.